In the headlines, 2 killed as doctors, nurses, patients, relations were abducted in Niger State by bandits. Registration commences in University of Jos after ASU suspends strike. Conference of Speakers demand investigation into Kogi State Assembly fire. Away from Nigeria, 3 UN peacekeepers killed, 3 injured in Mali attack. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. At least 2 persons have been reportedly killed, while dozens, including a medical doctor, a pharmacist and nurses, as well as patients' relations, were abducted as bandits raided Abdusalami Abubakar General Hospital, Gulu, Lapai local government area of Niger State. One of the victims of the attack, said to be a former staff of the hospital, was reportedly killed while attempting to run. Reports say that some of the hospital staff abducted were the head of clinical services, identified as Dr. John, head of hematology, Usman Zabu, a staff of medical laboratory, Awaisu Bida, and several others. Also abducted were wife of the head of nursing services and his daughters, wife and a daughter of the chief pharmacist, and many other relations of the patients. The attack is believed to be targeted at getting health personnel to treat some of the injured among the bandits in the forest. A staff of the hospital who wasn't on duty during the attack told our correspondent on telephone that all staff on duty and patients whose cases were not severe were kidnapped. A resident said that the attackers, about 100 in number, operated for several hours, shooting sporadically throughout unchallenged as vigilantes ran for their lives. The Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, promised to give details of the attack. In a similar incident, gunmen on Monday night killed the village head of Nyalun community of Wase local government area of Plateau State, Salisu Idris. The bandits had also gunned down 2 other residents of the community. The spokesperson of the Plateau State Police Command, DSP Alabo Alfred, while confirming the incident, said that 3 people were killed in the incident, adding the details of the incident was sketchy. The victims, according to residents, were killed in the village when the gunmen arrived the community on motorcycles and started shooting sporadically to scare people around. The resident told our correspondent that the attackers who invaded the village also abducted 5 members of the community, including 2 lives. Shapi Sambo, a youth leader in Wase, told Daily Trust that the gunmen also made away with a good number of motorcycles belonging to the people of the community. Now, about 16 widows and children of policemen and policewomen attached to the Ogun State Police Command who lost their lives in active service on Monday wept while receiving checks from the command. The Commissioner of Police, Lanre Bankole, presented the checks of 55.5 million naira to the beneficiaries at the police headquarters, Eleweran, Abeokuta, the state capital. The checks were presented to relatives of the officers who lost their lives last year and early this year. Bankole, while addressing them, said that the financial support was to alleviate the hardship facing the families of the fallen heroes. One of the beneficiaries, Adekunle Miriam, commended the police authority for the support, adding that it will ease the financial difficulties of the families. Now, registration for the 2020-2021 academic session at the University of Jos commences on Tuesday following the call of strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The commencement of the registration exercise was disclosed on Monday by the Deputy Registrar, Information and Publication in an interview with journalists in Jos. Ado Musa completes the story.
According to the Deputy Registrar, the management of the university has approved the continuation of registration exercise for the undergraduate and postgraduate students of the university for the 2020-2021 academic session. This, according to him, is in preparation to the full resumption of academic activities for the first semester 2020-2021 academic session, which had been suspended due to the strike.
The suspension of the strike villages our hearts, and because of that, the university has begun preparations for the resumption of academic activities. But I'm sure you may be aware that responsibility for the academic calendar and every academic activity actually rests on the Senate of the university. So the decision will be by Senate of the university.
On when the academic activities are expected to commence, he said date for resumption of class activities will be communicated in due course.
From now, management has directed that, or the resumption of registration by students. Before we had started our first semester 2020-2021 academic session. We had gone about 3 weeks into the semester before the strike commenced. And so some students, a few of them anyway, not too many, had not completed their registration process. So we are giving them 2 weeks between now and the 30th of October to complete their registration.
Some students also speak on the development.
Honestly, I feel excited to an extent, since because we've been at home for a while now, and then as far as come to strike, I think we'll go back to our books.
Parents and students, while expressing joy over the suspension of the strike, they are however hopeful that the federal government and ASU will have permanent solution to avoid such occurrence. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Yusuf Maitama Sule University in Kano has been struggling with problems of physical infrastructure since its establishment a few years ago. But it seems things are about to change with the ongoing construction of various faculties and students' facilities. The university's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mukhtar Kurawa, said students will now study at the main campus with ease. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
Since its establishment some 10 years ago, Yusuf Maitama Sule University is also struggling with the problem of infrastructures. But that may soon change, following the state's, federal government and some individual contributions.
There are 5 different categories of interventions or work taking place on this campus. One, there are those which are sponsored by the Kano state government, which are the 2 large faculty buildings. As you can see, I've gone around with you. You have seen that the work is in progress. 2, there are interventions by the federal government, which can be categorized into statutory, which is through TED fund, and then other interventions, which we are able to secure from the Federal Ministry of Works and then from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Leading the management staff of the university, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mukhtar Kurawa, believes that Yusuf Maitama Sule University is on the fast lane of transformation. According to the Vice-Chancellor, this ongoing construction of the faculties of humanities and science, construction of student hostels, lecture theatres, laboratories and workshops, among others, are to ensure a conducive environment for learning as ASU suspends their strike action.
The university is still at infancy. We are just 10 years old and we need to develop it. For us to reach our full potential, there are interventions that we are going to do. Construction of agriculture, faculty of engineering. There is a university clinic that we are going to need because the students and staff may sometimes fail ill. There is for us to have a state-of-the-art clinic which will assist in taking care of the students of this institution. There are a lot of other things that we are going to need.
For now, when the students eventually resumes, they may find several changes here, which the university authorities say is in line with the transformation agenda. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And now on political matters, the 2023 governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party PDP in Zamfara State has insisted that the party is acting within the law in carrying out its political gathering. He stated this while reacting to allegation by the ruling All Progressives Congress APC that the PDP had violated the new Executive Order 10 recently signed into law, which among others banned political activities till further notice in the state.
The The People's Democratic Party (PDP) vowed not to go against the laid down rules and regulations in carrying out their political activities to seek votes ahead of the 2023 elections. As regards to the allegations of breaking the law in Zamfara state, PDP insisted that the party is acting within the law as provided in the Independent National Electoral Commission schedule and timetable of the electioneering activities. The governorship candidate of the PDP in the state, Dauda Lawal Dare, stated that the PDP is a law-abiding party and cannot attack people.
You are aware of a car that was burnt? When I left my house that night on my way to Zawiya, one of my cars was attacked. It's right there, a Toyota Corolla. They smashed the rear window, the rear glass. We didn't see anything. We went ahead to continue peacefully until the following morning when the event was to take place. First of all, they made sure that none of our people came out from across all the local governments. The local government council were given order not to allow any car to move out of their local government. However, we were able to find our way, and eventually these people came to attend this gathering.
He said he is confident that PDP is well prepared to rescue Zamfara state from bad governance. The Zamfara state PDP governorship candidate denied alleged shooting or killing of anyone with dangerous weapons or sponsoring thugs to commit such crime on innocent people.
The Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria has called for an immediate probe into the fire that gutted the Kogi Assembly Complex in Lokoja. This is contained in a statement issued by the media aide to Abubakar Suleiman, chairman of the COSAP, Abdul Bura in Bauchi. The conference expressed shock over the ugly fire incident. Suleiman, who is the Speaker, Bauchi State House of Assembly, sympathized with the Speaker of the Kogi Assembly, Matthew Kolawole, over the fire incident. The chairman called on relevant authorities to investigate the incident to unravel what triggered the fire, with a view to forestalling its reoccurrence. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at the challenges of high cost of accommodation. Details of this and more after the break.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories again. 2 killed as bandits abduct doctor, nurses, patients' relations in Niger hospital attack. Plus, registration commences in University of Jos after ASU suspends strike. Now, in other news, the flood crisis in Bayelsa State reached its peak on Monday as corpses floated out of a cemetery in the state. The state is among the worst hit in the nationwide disaster attributed to climate change and blockage of drainages. Residents of Aeroplane Road at Azikoro axis of Yenogwa, the state capital, raised alarm over how corpses from a nearby cemetery flowed into their community. They also plead with the state government for immediate action to avoid a public health crisis. A resident, Mr. Emmanuel Oden, said that relocation of the cemetery is long overdue. He alleged that corpses at the cemetery were often buried in shallow graves of about 3 feet rather than the 6 feet prescribed by law. With high housing deficit increase, rent is hitting tenants in Jos Plateau State capital, threatening to plunge the rental market into crisis. Trust TV's Ado Musa reports that some of the tenants accused estate agents for increasing their rental fees, an accusation that was denied by the agents. The report.
Tenants, especially in the city center of Jos, said the increase in house rent in recent time has come to them as a surprise, as they were not expecting any increment soon, considering how everyone is finding it difficult to make ends meet. While blaming the estate agent for being responsible for increasing house rent, the tenants, however, call on the landlord to consider the economic hardship bedeviling the country.
Just regarding to house rents, houses are very costly these days. As at the last 2 years, we do pay around 70,000, but currently, even with economic situation, we are now paying almost 100 plus, 140 and 150.
More especially the agents, they were the main cause problem of all these things, because once you want a house, definitely before you give them the totally some amount of money, the agents, they were the one that they will go and add some amount of money which they will be the one to benefit from the money.
But the house agent denied the allegations. They explained that the increment is done with the consent of the landlords, mostly necessitated due to the current economic situation in the country.
Rent increase also goes along with the present economic realities. You cannot stay in a house for 10 years and you are paying a certain rent and you say you want to pay that rent when you all know that the price of goods and services has increased.
Barrister Monit Barrow, a Jos-based lawyer, speaks.
The tenancy is about agreement. You agreed my house rent is 10,000, you agreed to pay 10,000, and so be it. Once we agree that this is the amount you should pay, it becomes a kind of consensus agreement between the landlord and the tenant.
Barrister Barrow, however, said it is illegal to increase house rental price without the consent of the landlords.
Generally, such transactions are unlawful. Now, once a landlord gives you property to manage, he will tell you that, well, rent my property at the rate of 100,000, because if a tenant pays 100,000, he will give you your commission. So no need for you to now add 150.
While complaining on the constant increase in house rent, tenants, however, hope that their landlord will look into their plight and understand the economic situation in the country, as life has become very difficult for the common man. Ado Musa, reporting for Trust TV.
President Muhammadu Buhari says that his administration has implemented high-impact projects across the country to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. The president spoke on Monday in Abuja while declaring open the last ministerial performance review retreat of his administration, organized to evaluate the level of progress made in the implementation of the 9-priority agenda of his administration. He therefore directed ministers, permanent secretaries, and all heads of agencies to reinvigorate their efforts in ramping up delivery of flagship programs and projects contained in their ministerial mandates. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Despite the discontent of many Nigerians with his administration, President Buhari believes that his government has made remarkable progress in areas of agriculture, economy, infrastructure, security, health, anti-corruption, and other fields. But perhaps the main achievement is 7 consecutive quarters of growth after negative growth rates recorded in the second and third quarters of 2020.
The GDP grew by 3.54% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2022.
Speaking of achievements, the country's flagship air carrier, Nigeria Air, is to begin operations by December this year.
This is being boosted with the certification of 2 of our international airports, Lagos and Abuja, by International Civil Aviation Organization, while Kano and Port Harcourt airports are undergoing similar certification process.
The SGF says these reviews have helped the cabinet to maintain focus on delivering the administration's 9-point agenda and has in turn provided solid evidence of the achievements of government.
The PIS, as a major value addition, recommend ways of improving performance, especially for deliverables that were rated below 50%.
Former President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, is the guest speaker at this retreat, while British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Lang, has a goodwill message.
Belly is full, I have a roof over my house, my head, I have a secure job, my child is in school, I have good health facilities. Until we tackle all these issues, as I told Obama, then we can now start talking about other things. That's what I told Obama when he visited Kenya and he started trying to introduce funny things. I said, we don't have time for those kind of discussions. We need food on the table.
Institutionalizing a culture of accountability. Performance management enables accountability and better delivery of essential services. They are so necessary for building trust and the social contract between the government and its citizens.
At the end of this 3rd Ministerial Performance Review retreat, President Buhari is expected to sign an executive order on improving performance management, coordination, and implementation of presidential priorities of government. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Away from Nigeria, a representative for the UN says 3 United Nations peacekeepers were on Monday killed and 3 others suffered critical injuries when their vehicle collided with an IED in northern Mali. In the past 10 years, insurgents in northern Mali have been fighting, some of whom have ties to the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. In the northern Kidal region commune of Tessalit, the peacekeepers were conducting a mine search and detection patrol when they were struck, according to Stephanie Dujarric, a spokesperson for the organization. Meanwhile, in the East African nation of Ethiopia, a humanitarian worker was one of the 3 individuals killed following an airstrike on the town of Shire in northern Tigray, Ethiopia. The aid worker, who was a member of IRC's health and nutrition team, passed away on Friday as a result of wounds he received while providing help to women and children, IRC said in a statement. At least 8 civilians were killed and over 5 wounded in an improvised explosive devices attack that rocked Mogadishu, the Somali capital, on Monday evening, according to the Somali media. No group has claimed responsibility for the bombing, but it bore the hallmarks of previous Al-Shabaab attacks in Mogadishu. The IED blast occurred on a busy street in the Ikwelo area located in the Wadajir district. It took place during a traffic jam that had a high toll of deaths, it further noted. Earlier in July, at least 11 people succumbed to death after a suicide bomber blew himself up at the entrance to a government building in southern Somalia. And in sports news, Real Madrid and France forward Karim Benzema has won the Ballon d'Or awarded to the best footballer of the year for the first time. Benzema scored 44 goals in 46 games as he helped Real win the Champions League and La Liga in 2021-2022. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo had won the award on 12 of the previous 13 occasions. Bayern Munich's Sadio Mane, who was at Liverpool in 2021-2022, was second ahead of Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne. Barcelona's Alexa Putellas retained the Women's Ballon d'Or awarded to the best female footballer of 2022. England Euro 2022 winner and Arsenal forward Beth Mead was second. Premier League champions Manchester City, who had 6 nominees at the ceremony, were awarded Club of the Year ahead of Liverpool. The Ballon d'Or is awarded to the best footballer of the year based on performance over the 2021-2022 season. And that's all for the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch us live. Thanks for watching. I am Ayuba Ilya.